Yep.
All right, cool. Well, I'm going to be silent for a second and then introduce us. Hey there. We're doing one of these episodes where I've got CloudcraftGames on the line here, giving me a tour of a game I have never played before. In this case, Revenge of the Titans. How you doing, CloudCraft?
I'm doing pretty well. How about you?
I'm okay. You advised me to get started trying to play the game while you sort of talk a little bit about the background, so I'll let you get going with that.
Hop into the campaign.
Easy
all
campaign?
of the others, well, you could go easy campaign, but go into the campaign because there's a mechanic I want to show you. All of the other modes are basically for people who have finished the game.
So, Basingstoke is a familiar name. They actually made another game that is called that we'll probably look at tomorrow, huh?
Yes, this is an actual town.
Cool. Oh, it's a real town, like in a real place?
Yes, it's in the UK.
Oh, okay. Well, now I want to go there for some random reason.
Anyway, so this is by Puppygames, and it's a very, very unique tower defense game. And Puppygames kind of does very, very unique versions of genres that many people have done. So you can win this just by placing a single tower.
Okay.
Like, just put one tower on an area where it curves, and you'll probably win just by doing that.
So is this, so they're going to come down the road? Is that the plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the way it works is up on the upper right, you've got ticking, oh right, there's clicking mechanics in this.
So I grab things that appear?
Yes. Yes, so up in the upper right, you can see it, it counts down and then the enemies go berserk, basically. And basically, while it's counting down, it's spawning, and when it goes berserk, they're done spawning.
Okay.
And there's a little thing you can speed up in the corner.
Right here.
So, Puppygames is a very interesting studio, and you're not going to get the best reward for this because you took damage.
So interesting.
You get medals, you can mouse over to see what you got them for. Basically, if you hadn't taken any damage, you would have gotten 500 extra cash for this.
Oh, so what took damage? Did my tower take damage from one of the enemies?
Yes,
I didn't actually see what happened.
your tower took damage.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So that
this
matters.
Isn't a game where the enemies have a set path, nor is it a game where you use your towers to make lanes for them.
Oh, okay. So wait, so that they don't have a set path? I assumed that they did. I thought that road was...
No, the roads make them faster, so they like to use the roads. But they deliberately changed their pathfinding for a mix of fastest route and safest route.
Oh, interesting. So okay, so they're just using a pretty typical kind of pathfinding algorithm, and so if I make the road too dangerous, they'll take the slow route instead?
Yep, so you want a refinery, which is in the lower left.
Right here, okay. I'll take your word for it.
Do not place this first.
Okay.
From now on, the game does not start until you place a refinery.
Oh, really?
Yes. Also, the limit on any building that has an adjacency effect with another building, like the refinery mining, is 4. So when you do place the refineries, you want to place 4 of them around that one crystal.
Okay, gotcha. So, but I don't want to do that right now. First, I want to set up for the enemies that will inevitably attack.
I would not put your blasters on the road, by the way, because they like to use those roads.
So, like, here? Or
even that might be too close, because if they come into contact at all, they will attack it.
So maybe something more like this?
Yes.
All right.
Also, these basic towers don't actually count as threats for their pathfinding.
Oh, interesting.
Which is part of why they're actually useful throughout the whole game.
So how much does a refinery cost? 250. Okay, so I only have enough for 4. So should I start placing refineries now?
Yes, you can click and drag, by the way.
Click and drag?
Yeah, you can click and drag all buildings.
Oh, okay. Oh, holy crap. Okay, that's crazy.
Now you can probably just let this run. So anyway, Puppygames, they're a studio that I believe is only 3 people. And
oh, really?
With every single game that they've made is a different genre with a very unique spin on that genre. Oh. And they started out with retro games, and now they're kind of branching out.
Well, essentially, kind of, yeah, it reminds me a little bit of, I've been playing the Dead Ahead games on my iPad lately, and it was interesting to me that they had one world and one art style, but went with two completely different styles of game. And it seems like Puppygames is doing a similar thing. They've got like a world and a style, but they keep applying it to different genres.
Oh, by the way, you can manually cause the turrets to reload by clicking them. Originally, you had to click them to reload them.
Oh, sheesh. Okay, so succeeded again. The early days of tower defense are always fun and satisfying.
Yeah, the first 10 levels are basically just an intro. So what Puppygames does, basically, every single game that they make, you can see similar design principles and mechanics being used across multiple different genres. So it's really interesting to play multiple games they've made. Well, I would suggest going for... So this is actually a tech tree, but for some reason they don't have a tree view. I'll get to that in a minute. I would suggest going for efficiency, because that will let you speed up the rate of getting money.
This one?
Yes.
All right.
Or, well, it won't on its own. It's basically a tax before you can do that.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
So anyway, the design principles that they tend to be very good at are they're, for one, they've got this retro art style that's on all their games that's really cool.
Yeah, no, I really like it.
They're also very, very good at progression mechanics, both challenge progression and player progression, and they tend to do a very good job of increasing depth and complexity in equal measure as you go through the game, and as the depth and complexity increase, the opportunities for play style, for expressiveness and play style also increase. For instance, in this game, they'll start introducing new enemies after the first 10 levels that do different unique things. And for every challenge offered by those enemies, there's usually at least 3 different strategies that are effective at dealing with them.
So
they have consumable power-ups like arcade games.
So repairing isn't just a thing I spend cash on. Repairing is a thing that I actually have a power-up for. Okay, cool. So I succeeded. Cool. So
the power-ups on the power-up panel down there, the right side ones are kind of global effects, and the left side ones boost all of the turrets permanently for the duration of the level.
So what do I want next?
So next you want to keep going in the refinery tree.
So does that mean this? Reprocessor?
You haven't unlocked that yet. It actually shows you when you hover over what the things require.
Okay.
Also notice you can respec at any point.
So I want a collector then. Hey there, Asgard and Drac.
You don't actually want to use the collector yet.
I just want to own it.
Because it's actually not worth using just yet. So every level is actually...
I don't actually understand what my refineries are doing exactly.
They are... see in the upper where you get money?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that where my money's coming from?
When you put the refineries down next to the crystals, watch what happens to your money.
Okay, I will. Okay, so I want to defend against these guys.
Yeah. And the roads make them a lot faster, so they really like to go to the roads. So the guys up top are probably not even going to touch the area around the crystals, but they may run into your turrets down there.
Let me just see what that does.
That's probably more turrets than you need.
It's what I can afford. Is there any reason for me not to spend all the money I have?
Yes. So at the end of every level, the game will automatically sell off all of the buildings that are still standing for the usual sell-off price.
Oh, okay. So the money I have at the beginning, it's not just consistent.
Over money. Yes. You carry over money between levels. It used to be that you unlock tech with money too.
Okay, so the fact that these guys are built in a place where these guys are not going is a waste of money. They're just going to be sold back for the
Yes.
sellback price, and I just lost some cash.
Yes. So
So
if your turrets get damaged or destroyed, that's also a loss of cash.
gotcha. That makes sense.
You want to hit that money before it goes away.
Oh, hi, money. Okay, so if this guy starts getting under more threat, like I might want to add another partner next to him to shoot more guys.
Yeah. So as you can see, these guys aren't actually targeting your turrets. They just wander off the path sometimes.
Oh, interesting.
So that you can't just perfectly judge where every enemy is going to go.
That's kind of funny because I recently played Pixel Junk Monsters 2, and that one has much more defined lanes. The enemies, except for the flying enemies, the enemies can basically only go down the same lanes. And I would actually get really frustrated by the fact that there would be a lane, and it would tell me, hey, here's the path the enemies are going to follow, and then most of the enemies would violate it. But in this game, it looks like they build in the idea that the enemies are not supposed to follow one specific path, and so you don't get frustrated when they wander from it, because that's just how the game works. You're supposed to anticipate every eventuality.
Yeah, now they don't tell you outright, though, that the enemies avoid large concentrations of dangerous turrets. Do not get the heavy blaster yet. Instead, what you should do is, in the technologies area, there's one that got unlocked by the last thing you did. Yes, extraction tuning.
Mm-hmm.
That just improves the rate you get money at, and then you can go for other things.
Okay.
Like, these levels are basically so easy that you just want to get as much money as possible.
All right. Okay, so I'm pretty sure these guys will be useful. But I think I'll see what the enemies do before I commit to more.
Strategy worth doing. So, just to finish up what I was saying. So, Puppygames, very good with their retro style, very good with progression mechanics, mixing complexity and depth, player expression. They're also very good at replayability, and they've got the game feel part of UX pretty good.
Yeah, it does feel good to place these
however,
things.
have the communication part of UX down quite as well.
So what do you mean by that?
I mean that they often don't communicate the deeper mechanics of a game, or don't communicate the details that well, and they don't always design mechanics. In part, this may be because of programming limitations. They don't always design mechanics to be intuitive to use. For instance, it would be much more intuitive and player friendly.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that happens. To have it set up where you have a button to start the wave and you can just put down all your refineries first. Because there's not really that much depth added from having to place the refineries while the wave is coming.
Yeah, I can see that.
Similarly, they don't ever tell you that all of the turrets except the basic ones have a threat rating and that the enemies will avoid an area more and more the more threat is concentrated there.
So there's just a lot of stuff going on under the surface that you kind of like. How did you find out about these things? Was it like reading forums about it, or just trial and error?
I found some of them on my own. Some of them I suspected and confirmed by looking at the wiki.
Oh, okay. And that's like people like actually modders like delving into the code and finding out how it works and then reporting it to everybody else.
Yeah. Like, they don't tell you upgrades for your turrets are a big part of the game as soon as you get past the first 10 levels. And they don't tell you that those work differently on some things than others. So what I'd recommend going for is I'd recommend going for the basically shotgun turret, which the positron beam splitter is a prerequisite for.
Okay.
The other thing you might want to go for is the upgrade structures.
Okay, it's so interesting. Like, I feel like if you hadn't been directing me, I really genuinely would not have known what buttons to push on that screen. Like nothing, because there's no tree structure or anything like that. It doesn't give me a strong sense of what. Oh, there's no visible tree structure. Yeah, because there's no visible tree structure.
Those turrets, by the way, are too close. They are going to get eaten.
So what should
you don't want them being close to the road on either dimension.
Oh, because the guys spread out. Something more like that.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, I can imagine there being a lot of trial and error in sort of discovering how this works.
Yeah,
And just and maybe getting and maybe a lot of frustration in,
oh
not
yeah,
really knowing
the
why
way the
something's
game
failing.
saves is interesting too. So you can go back and play any of the levels in the campaign, and they will save your state of tech progression, upgrade collection, and money from the last time you completed the previous level.
Oh, you mean like if I complete the level again and make less money that time, it will actually subtract from my total money? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes.
That's
And that
insane.
that mechanic's actually going to come back in Basingstoke and be used in a much better way.
Okay, that's interesting. So
Yeah,
I'm
so
having trouble reading like how these turrets are running out of ammo. So the white is them running out of ammo? Is that what
the
that is?
white is the amount of ammo they have left.
And you said there was that I could
And then
reload.
they refill it when they're reloading.
So me clicking on them doesn't seem to do anything. If I click on one that...
If you click on one that's not currently reloading, it will
Oh,
reload.
it'll reload early. Okay, I see
Yes.
what you're saying now.
There's an upgrade structure that will speed up the rate of reload. It used to be that you needed to have one of those for it to reload on its own.
And that just was too frustrating for players.
Well, also it decreased the depth in the early game because it was basically required after a certain point.
Oh, that makes it. Yeah, if something is the only choice the player has, might as well give it to them as a native ability. Or if you're gonna eke it out, do it as part of a tutorial process, not just treating it like it's a strategic choice.
Yeah, so the one downside is that you actually have less to do in the early levels.
Drax says I'm driving him crazy because I'm not successfully clicking on all the money.
Yes, that's driving me crazy too. I'm just not mentioning it.
I appreciate that. I'm a very unobservant player, which makes me, okay at some games, but it makes me less effective at certain others.
Yeah, especially in Puppygames, that can be a problem. Because when I said they're bad communicating sometimes, it's both on, like, say, this screen and in the actual game. Like, there's going to be a lot going on eventually, and keeping track of everything is a nightmare. So, what you want to go for, so go to your turrets and hover over the one in the lower left to see what it needs.
Oh, so it requires the xenobiology upgrade and something else. And this guy, which requires this guy. So I want to get this guy.
So some of these taxes also actually have effects. So that one gives everything +1 damage.
So rather than making some research cost more research points, they just basically say everything costs 1, but some of them we make you jump through a bunch of hoops before you can buy it.
Yes, but they let you respec at any time, which is a very, very good thing.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's actually really important because before, when you just paid money and you couldn't respec, you could basically end up in a situation where you need to replay multiple levels to get a tech you need to deal with something.
I could see that, yeah. So I appreciate either the tolerance that you're showing by not micromanaging where I'm placing these things, or just the expediency, because there's no way you could communicate to me exactly where I ought to be placing them.
It's both. It's really both.
All right, but
yeah, like I said, there's a lot of player expression though. Like, you can already tell with the upgrades, you have the option of doing high concentrations, just click and drag as many refineries as you can on each one. So 4 each.
I'm putting that on the road.
Yeah, you want to get these down as fast as possible.
Why do I want to get the crystals down as fast as possible? Is there a chance that I might miss out on it entirely?
Because right now, so every successive level is slightly longer. Right now, the levels are not long enough that you will mine the entire crystal.
Gotcha, okay.
So you want to have the mining for as long as possible.
That makes sense. It's interesting just watching the guy, because the turrets are so cheap, it's interesting to sort of watch the guys in real time, figure out where it is they're going and not going, and then respond in real time. Compared to, say, like I said, I was playing Pixel Junk Monsters 2, like each building that I build is a huge investment and a huge chunk of the cash that I have available. And if I make a wrong choice, I feel like I should just restart. Whereas here, I feel like I can play a little bit more fast and loose, at least at this early level. I imagine that probably gets harder later.
I mean, it'll probably get you killed in later levels, but we're not going to get to, like, Mars at all.
Okay.
Hopefully, we will get to the moon where we actually start seeing new types of enemies as opposed to just basic enemies and slightly tankier basic enemies.
Well, Mars is a pointless, lifeless rock anyway, so we don't need to go there.
It also has ghosts.
Well, was that an Ice Cube movie, Ghosts of Mars?
I have no idea.
There was this spate of like Mars movies that all happened at once in like the late 90s or early 2000s or something, and they were all bad. Ooh, was that permanent damage? What happens when these guys reach my base? What does it do to me?
So whether it's the base or your turrets, as soon as an alien touches a structure, they will begin their attack animation. If they complete that, they will do damage to that object.
Oh, so okay, but it doesn't really matter until they've destroyed the object. That's what actually
it does, because you get a bonus at the end for
undamaged.
If you don't take any structure damage, you get 500. If you don't lose any structures, you get 250, and you get a bonus based on how much health your base has left.
It is really interesting that the money sort of carries over from mission to mission. Like, it just makes you have to think about the entire thing very differently.
Yeah. So the next one you want is Alien, or
this guy,
Alien Enemy. Yeah, that one. That gives you armor piercing, which isn't useful yet because none of the aliens have armor. Armor is the first thing they'll get introduced on the moon.
Okay, so they're going to be marching basically straight through my refineries here to get to the base.
Yeah. Oh, so in case this doesn't come up, I want you to actually hit the escape button real quick.
Okay.
So I want you to go through the options you have here.
New level generated, an easier level. You'll earn less impressive metal.
So another thing they do well is... No, they're not. But another thing they do well... Actually, they sort of are. I believe the campaign ones are fixed, but they were procedurally generated, and they do procedurally generate levels for other modes. So Puppygames is also very good at flexible difficulty that responds to the player. What they are doing here is they start you out on the hardest version of every level. And if you die, or if you choose to, you can restart with an easier version of that level that doesn't have any less monsters on it, but the level design changes to be easier.
That sounds like a maddening thing to create.
Yeah, so there's going to be less ways that they're coming in. There's going to be less rubble that's blocking you from placing stuff, and the money is generally going to be placed further away from the aliens.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, so right here, this is the worst, because, I mean, they're going to try to stick to the path.
Oh, that is not the worst. You have not experienced the worst.
I didn't mean comparatively, I meant colloquially. It's the worst.
Oh, yes. Later on, they will place your major crystal deposits right next to aliens who seek out the nearest buildings to attack.
Awesome. Okay, well, I know that guy where I placed him. He's probably going to get destroyed, but whatever.
Yeah. Basic tower defense placement mechanics do apply, so placing them on turns is often very effective.
Yeah, I can see that. So I'm going to just start with some bare minimum guys here.
Yeah, it's good to start with just the key ones that you really need to build right off, either because they're going to see action immediately, or because you need to like build up a whole mass, and then you place more as needed. You should probably put down more refineries, because again, you're not going to use up the entirety of those crystals.
Alright.
Yeah, well, here's a great example of where they sacrifice information for game feel. The screen shake when things get attacked and destroyed.
Yeah, it does make it a little harder to see. Hey, look, Drac, I got the cash.
Yeah, it's really annoying when you screw up and a whole bunch of stuff starts getting destroyed. Also, you may want to speed this up with the thing in the upper right so that we can get through levels faster. You need to hold it down. Oh, look, some of the aliens got past all your turrets.
Wait, when did that happen? I missed it. Oh, yeah, all my turrets. Look at that.
Oh, you can put turrets on top of aliens, by the way, and crush them.
What? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the turret takes damage, but there's also so the medals you get at the end, some of those are per level medals, but some of them are in-game achievements. And there's one for crushing enemies under buildings.
That's pretty cool. So I mean, if you crush an enemy, that means you're deliberately placing a building in a place where alien enemies go, and so that building is like not in the best spot, but still.
Although it may be like a stray enemy that went off somewhere because of how you were building. So now you can finally unlock that spreader cannon. So the spreader cannon and its big brother are really nice because they have high DPS due to multiple shots.
Okay.
And they do stun to aliens, which almost nothing else does.
Okay.
They're not so nice later on because you can't upgrade their damage.
Oh my gosh, really long roads here, and these guys don't have any roads, so that means they're just going to go straight to like maybe this corner or that corner, or just straight to my base.
Well, they might go straight to the base. And now you have a turret that the aliens will actually make an effort to avoid. They won't go way out of their way to do it, but they will try to avoid it. So, for instance, if you put just one on one side of a road, they will often try to go around it. But if you put them flanking the road, they probably won't.
Okay, interesting.
And you probably want to put normal turrets near the spreader cannons because the spreader cannons are going to stun enemies for the normal ones to shoot.
So does the spreader cannon also damage the enemies, or does it only stun them?
It also damages them. Each shot from the spreader cannon does the same damage as a normal shot from one of the basic turrets, I believe.
Okay.
And I believe they can hit with multiple shots on the same target. Oh, by the way, the actual range of turret shots is greater than their scanner range. The red is their scanner range.
What does their scanner range mean?
The scanner range is the range at which they'll actually target things. And you can increase that with one of the upgrade buildings.
So does that mean they'll target? They might be able to shoot.
I would hold off on making any more turrets because you don't know where the enemies are coming in most concentrated.
That's true. I'm being overzealous.
Yeah, I would just click and drag on the refineries, even if it risks them gain damage. Because you want to get them down fast so you can see where the aliens are.
I don't have a lot of options around this area.
God, you are missing all of the upgrades. And no, Drac, I am not talking Geoffrey through They Are Billions, in part because I've never even played.
Yeah, I tried to play They Are Billions and I was terrible at it. I got frustrated too quickly.
So you probably want some turrets to take out the guys coming from the bottom left. Because you've got lots to take out all the other guys. And the bottom left guys are the tanky ones. Yeah, see how much slower they walk when they're not on a road?
Oh, yeah.
And if you place down one of the spreader turrets here, you will definitely see them try to avoid it.
This guy's in trouble. I wonder what happens if I put another spreader cannon near him.
That spreader's going to get hit by the guys on the road.
Maybe so. But maybe that other guy will avoid some damage. I don't know.
I would really stop placing turrets. You're killing yourself for the boss.
Okay.
Also, you still have just so few refineries, and now they probably won't make back their money. Yeah, until the third level, you pretty much, or the third world, you pretty much want to put 4 refineries on every single crystal.
But if that costs $1,000, and some of these crystals only give you $1,000,
that's...
I mean,
okay, sorry,
I know you still sell them back.
Not every single crystal. But,
oh crap! I didn't notice.
Yeah,
I missed that one.
The sellback is significant. It's like for something that costs $250, if it's undamaged, the sellback is $100.
Okay.
So you're still gonna make profit.
Okay.
But yeah, anything that's more than 1,000, you definitely want all 4.
Okay. So I didn't do that bad, but still. What about plucky scouts? Oh, sheesh.
The boss is basically just a giant alien that will one-shot anything it touches.
Okay. Including final
That's
thing.
all that this boss is. Don't bother with the heavy blaster. It's useless until you start fighting armored aliens.
Okay,
Instead,
so what should I do?
I would go for one of the add-ons.
One of the add-ons. Over here?
Yeah, these are the upgrade things. Either the scanner or the battery is generally best to go for first.
Alright, let's go battery.
Yeah.
Extreme danger.
So the battery will significantly increase the ammo capacity of all the turrets that are in range of it.
Oh, sheesh. Guys are coming from every direction.
So if you want, you can generate an easier version of this level right off the bat.
I guess that's true. Do you think I should do that just to see what that looks like?
Go for it.
All right.
You won't get the little medal for having completed all of them on highest difficulty, but there's no. That's just an achievement.
Maybe
there's
I should just
no actual reward.
I'll just risk failure instead.
Okay.
Okay.
So remember, put down lots of refineries once it starts.
All right. So
I would focus first on where you want your spreader cannons, and then structure the other ones around that. And keep in mind, you don't know what direction the boss is coming from.
Right.
So you're going to want money in reserve.
Okay, so I think this is a pretty good... Like, everything's going to be funneled towards that guy. And then on this side, everybody's going to be funneled towards this guy.
Keep in mind, I think... do check where the actual guys are coming in. Okay, yeah. I thought there was only one. There's
over
2.
Here. So I probably want this, like, I don't know, out here somewhere where I think they're both going to be going up this way. But, wow.
Yeah, it's a matter of where the other guys joined the road.
Yeah, trying to guess in advance is just nuts.
Yeah, well, you can wait.
I guess that's
the
true.
guys who are going to be joining the road aren't going to join that quickly. Yeah, so click and drag out as many as you can right now.
Well, this seems like that was a bad plan.
More refineries. You want more?
And then we got this.
On the upper left, there's a thing that will show you if any crystals are unused by flashing. If you click it, it will zoom
right
to
there.
them.
Oh, look at that. I imagine that's a feature they added later to deal with people being frustrated.
Also, most of their games have manuals that are on their site that the game has a link to. I would check up and find where the boss is.
Oh, would he already be here? Oh, yeah, look at him.
So you want a long line of basic blasters and some spreader cannons along his route of advance. And you want to get them down quickly. Like, I would click and drag the blasters so you're getting lots of damage on him. Yeah, that should be plenty. Assuming you placed them well enough, which you probably didn't.
Which I probably didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, so So, like here, it would have been better if you actually put your turrets further up to stop the enemies taking out your refineries.
Right, that's true. We took him out,
And
though?
see, you just got 1,000 cash just for killing that guy.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, so these guys are taking my... I've got no coverage on these guys at all.
You might want to check down below to make sure that's going all right.
Oh, no, I'm sure it's fine. Okay, yeah, sure, you're right. I guess that could be worse.
They're not there yet. Oh, I didn't realize they had a road, so they're just going to follow that road. So that section may actually be fine. May. Yeah, the real key to this game is minimizing your use of resources.
Yeah, which I'm not doing.
Yeah, like at this point, when I beat this level, I typically have over 10,000 in the bank at the end.
Oh, gotcha. Well, let's see how I do then.
You don't need that much, but like 5,000 in the bank at least would be really good for the start of the next one.
I guess I don't need to be building too much over here.
You can probably speed this up now because it's pretty much won, although your turrets are still dying.
Okay,
See,
so these guys are crossing over.
There is that I think what happened there is that you put down actually no, it's not that they were scared of your turret, it's just that your turrets weren't scary enough, so they didn't stick to the road.
Oh,
Instead
gotcha.
they tried to jump across it.
Vanquish 500. I completed Earth. Did the whole world at well, you know what? I'm glad I got that. Whole world at maximum difficulty. Survival mode is now unlocked.
Yeah, so there's two endless modes. One is survival, one is endless. In survival, you go in basically at the end of a world on a randomly generated map, which you can set some parameters, and it will randomly spawn in crystals, and you just keep getting gradually more and more different types of enemies coming at you till you die.
Oh,
and then endless is the campaign, but randomly generated, and it never ends.
Oh, they just keep sending you to new planets, and you keep just going and going.
Yeah, and as this campaign ramps up, what you're going to see is that the rate at which they throw new things at you that change up gameplay will increase as your mastery of the mechanics increases.
So one thing that's really interesting is realizing how much control I have over what order I unlock my weapons and stuff in. Like, I'm used to, again, like games like Pixels Jump Monsters or Defense Grid or something like that, where it's like they very carefully give you enemies and weapons to fight those enemies, like back and forth, and they're, consciously deciding exactly when you get each ability. Whereas here, I really am in 100% control over the order in which I pursue things, except for, prerequisites. And I could just never get the spreader cannon if I wanted to never get the spreader cannon, and I would still have to play the same game. Oh, yeah. You never got it in your first playthrough?
Yeah. By the way, I'd recommend the scanner and then heavy blaster next, because you won't face armored guys on the first level.
But then maybe soon thereafter.
So the scanner costs double what the other add-ons cost, but it adds to the scanner range, which is huge. It often dramatically increases the effectiveness of your turrets.
Okay, so here's my base. There's my crystals. There's my biggest crystals.
This is actually a really good place to use batteries and scanners. You can just create a relatively short line of spreader cannons and basic blasters, and then upgrade them with a few batteries and a scanner.
Okay.
Yeah, the trick to the add-ons is they have similar costs to turrets, so you always want them hitting multiple turrets.
That makes sense.
Or hitting one of the big heavy turrets.
So I could do something like this, and then have a battery that benefits all of them, and a scanner that benefits many of them.
Yeah, generally I prioritize scanners above everything else for what touches everything.
Let me just see how this plays out. So, you said 4 is the max?
Yeah, 4 is the max. 4 is also the max on the add-ons for how many of one type affect the same structure.
All right, let's see how this goes.
Yeah. Here's another thing they don't tell you. So the rest of the refinery upgrade tree is efficiency, which increases the total amount you can get from a crystal, but it also decreases the rate at which it's harvested. And they don't tell you that. Yeah, they do not tell you that second part.
So it doesn't actually help you if you're playing like a short mission and you only put one refinery on something.
It's only really useful on the last 2 worlds, but that's non-obvious, so you can actually hurt yourself.
That's interesting.
You still aren't noticing when any of the upgrades pop up, or any of the collectibles. See that
one
green
up there.
ring? Yes.
Right. Well, when they pop up off screen, of course they don't.
They are very good about communicating.
Well, the thing is, there's just so much noise. The entire approach to their UI has got so much noise on it. It's like it's easy to dismiss. Like sometimes the entire screen will just scroll just to show distortion or whatever, and so with that much noise going on, of course I don't notice when there's like useful noise.
I agree to some extent, but they make that specific one pretty obvious. So you can see that guys are wandering off the road a bit more to the right here. That's because of your spreader.
I can see that, yeah.
And once you get really thick concentrations, they will take massive detours to avoid them.
Right.
It will automatically pick up. The level's already over.
Whoops, I didn't realize it was over.
Yeah, you just wasted money.
That's okay.
Yeah, usually near the end of the level, you just don't want to place turrets unless you've got an emergency.
Yeah, I think I believed there was going to be another wave at some point, and so that I was going to need more, but I guess not.
So now you want to unlock the heavy blaster, and what you want to do here is the first armored guys you fight are fast armored guys. So you want to combine heavy blasters, heavy blasters with spreader cans.
Okay.
Yeah, they do a really interesting thing where some of the aliens you're fighting now will just not show up later on. And instead you'll face like slow armored guys or really armored guys that are bombs. And then they'll introduce enemies that hunt down turrets. And the first ones are going to be fast, weak ones. But later on, you'll get big, slow ones with no armor but massive HP pools.
Okay, so I'm going to put them here, and a couple blasters with each one, and then scanners, and we'll start there, throw down some refineries.
Be ready to throw down those heavy blasters fast, because
if that's what we end up running into.
Oh, you will hit armored enemies on this stage.
Oh, okay, cool.
And right now, your basic turrets do almost no damage to them. The only reason they'll do any is because you got alien anatomy, which gives all your stuff 1 armor piercing.
Oh, gotcha.
So they're coming. You probably want to get a heavy turret down.
All right. Oh, what the? What was that crap?
I told you they were fast.
Sheesh.
Yeah, all of the enemy types have slightly different movement patterns, too. Yeah, so now they're going to start throwing curveballs at you, at least one every world.
Sheesh.
The one they throw you on the last world is massive. They completely changed the behavior of the basic enemies.
What, do they start flying or something?
No, instead all of the basic enemies become the intelligent type that hunts down buildings.
Oh, wonderful.
So it completely changes the entire dynamic of your defenses.
Look, I'm picking up cash.
Yay. Yeah, there's a lot to be said for spread out formations of turrets along the line of advance. There's also a lot to be said for heavy concentrations of them with lots of add-ons.
Because so the existence of the add-ons and sort of the fun of trying to put everything in range of an add-on. I don't know. It feels like it's encouraging me to go down that direction. Like I have trouble imagining myself making a different choice.
I would say it's more that direction than the other one, but you will find yourself, especially in emergencies, doing lines of turrets just to, or spreading them out just to catch everything. And the heavy turrets also offer their own really interesting choices. Like, maybe at the end of this, I should just run you through what some of the things on the tech tree do.
So we do have about 10 minutes left, so
yeah.
What should I do now?
I'll just run you through what some of the options you'll have later on are, and then you can just play the next level.
All right.
So down on the turrets, so I'm not going to get into all the little upgrades up here. I will say one thing. On the deliveries tab, that actually gives you money and power-ups and is required to unlock some techs. That is the only thing you can't respec because it actually gives you resources.
Oh, interesting.
So
once I've chosen one, that's it.
Yeah, if you buy into that, that's always going to be locked down. So if you go down to turrets, so you've got your basic turret, which is one of the most efficient ones for DPS. Then you've got the heavy blaster, which is mainly for basic armor enemies and can do some damage to heavy armor.
Okay.
Then you've got the blast cannon, which just pierces all armor, but it's much less efficient in all of its stats than the basic blaster. You've got the two spreader ones, which we already covered.
So the assault cannon is an advanced spreader. Okay.
Yeah, because you can't upgrade as much. And then you've got the multi-blaster, which is as weak as the basic one. It does massive burst damage, but you really need to upgrade it because its reload takes a long time.
Oh, so it needs to have a battery or a cooling tower or something like that.
So then on the next tab over, you have the heavy turrets. And these have what are called production limits. So a lot of the items have production limits where at every level after you unlock it, one will get produced and there's a maximum number that it builds up to, and that is your pool of them you can use. And if they get sold off at the end instead of destroyed, or if you sell them manually, they go back into your pool.
Oh, that's crazy. So you have to you want to really protect it. You want to get them like if it's a valuable one, you want to get it early and then protect it.
Yeah. So the rockets are really hard to use but super effective because their AoE will basically end up destroying anything that is even slightly between them and the aliens they're shooting at, including their own upgrades.
Okay.
The laser is something I constantly use. That can shoot over mountains. It's great for flying enemies. It does a small sweep with the laser and does rapid damage. Like I think every 30th of a second it does damage. So it's really good to upgrade its damage, and it's really good against unarmored enemies. And then there's the disruptor, which basically creates an AoE around it that if you don't have the right tech, it'll damage all the other buildings, but it completely pierces armor.
Oh, cool. So it's like microwaving all the enemies that come in.
The way scanner range interacts with all three of them is a bit different for each one. Like the laser has unlimited actual range. For instance, it's kind of crazy, just the interesting things you get up to with that. I won't go into that. Then you have placed explosives, which also have production limits, so mines.
Oh, gotcha. And I imagine that those are harder to sell back and get.
And the cluster mines are for killing hatchlings, which are little mini enemies that normal turrets can't target.
Drac points out he has that screen shake or like the scrolling effect, if that can be turned off, because does interfere with me too.
It's possible it can be.
I'll have
I'm
to
not
look
sure.
into that at the end.
So then you have the droids, which the basic droid factory is, it produces these little combat robots that will move around slowly and target enemies. They have fairly good DPS, but they're low damage, so they are terrible against anything with armor. They're really good for killing hatchlings.
Okay.
And then the tank ones can't kill hatchlings, but they're just generally good at fighting. And then you have ones to repair your buildings. Then you have a bunch of really funky stuff. There's the capacitor, which is great for anything that your turrets can't target on their own, like ghosts and hatchlings, or
Ghosts
for anything really heavily armored, and it's manually aimed.
Wait, so like you click on it and then click on a target for it, and it like zaps whatever the thing is, or what?
If your cursor is within the range of the capacitor, left clicking without anything selected to build will cause it to zap.
That's a completely different approach. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. There's a shield generator, which provides armor, so you could just shield your buildings and let them tank the little hatchlings.
Okay.
If you go into xenopsychology, you can create basically a decoy base or a scarecrow, which acts like a really high threat concentration.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
There's something to slow aliens down.
So this pulls
There's
enemies towards you,
device.
and this pushes them away.
Yeah, and then there's physical barriers they have to chew through. There's the add-ons, which are basically the next thing you go for, because the add-ons are huge no matter what kind of thing you do. And then there's a whole bunch of interesting stuff up above that gives Will upgrades to things.
Well, cool. So what should we pick for this particular round? Cooling tower, a barricade, a multi-barrel technology, like something that's just since we're probably going to play one more of these.
Cooling tower, because you're only playing one more.
I think that makes sense. Okay, so we got guys all coming from one side, right past the refinery place I want to put my refineries. So
a final note on the UI here, you'll notice there's actually a lot of good UX things going on. Like when you hover over things, it'll pop up info and show you what the hotkeys for them are.
Oh yeah.
But there's also a lot of bad UX design going on too.
Yeah, it is nice seeing like the R, the 1, the 2, So like if I hit 1, that would give me a blaster. I could, get used to that and like.
And I think spacebar is the hotkey for shrinking this entire interface so you can see. I could be wrong on it being spacebar.
Yeah, that's me hitting the spacebar. Yep. So.
Yeah, I do really wish they actually showed the grid that you build on.
Yeah, I kind of have to guess at it.
Especially in later levels where they start introducing a lot of rubble blocking where you can place things. Like, later levels, you start playing Tetris sometimes.
Oh, sheesh.
Time pressure and everything.
All right, so.
Yeah, we'll see when we do Basingstoke that they are much better, I think, in Basingstoke about communicating. They still have some issues, but. You probably want to have batteries, especially if you've got cooling towers going.
I think I had at least one battery, but here's another one.
Yeah, batteries, next to range upgrades, batteries are like my top priority. Because they have a huge impact on how often your turret's firing. There's a reloader too, but the batteries are generally far more useful. But you can also see the battery says +1 turret ammo. That's not what it actually does. It doesn't give them just one shot. And the effect is different for different turrets in terms of proportion. So like for some turrets, certain types of upgrades are far more or less effective than on most other turrets.
Interesting. I was going to say, like, the cooling towers, the batteries, the reloaders, they all sound like they have very similar effects.
Yeah. Well, also, you kind of notice the subtleties of, oh, this kind of upgrade would be better for this tower as you use them.
Yeah.
Like for instance, how the laser benefits a huge amount from damage upgrade, whereas explosives barely benefit from it.
You have to be really paying a lot of attention to the behavior. Like, to pick this stuff up on your own without relying on a wiki, you'd have to pay a lot of attention to what's happening in the level.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, part of the appeal of Puppygames is kind of learning the game as you go, but there's some stuff that really is really hard to figure out on your own. I do really like how the sound effect and animations start well before they actually deal damage.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, if you have like a manually targeted thing or a power-up, you can actually respond to that yourself if you're fast.
Oh, like zap the guy who's in the middle of his chompy animation?
Yeah, the ghosts actually are often very hard to see until they start their attack animation.
All right, well, let's get out of here, because I think we're done. Wait, do I not have the ability to leave? Oh, there's quit.
Yeah, if you do play this more on your own, by the way, you'll see that the amount of interesting stuff going on ramps up heavily once you get to the third world.
Okay, I'll have to pay attention to that. Well, thank you so much for giving me an intro to this game, and for like help explaining. It might have taken me a long time, and maybe I might not have even gotten deep enough in this game to discover some of the things you've been pointing out. And so it's cool to get like a primer on this before, without having to sort of try to find it all on my own. So I appreciate you coming in and talking about it.
Yep.
And so tomorrow we'll be looking at Basingstoke, which is the most recent game from Puppygames, which builds on a lot of the ideas that they explored here. Is that right?
Oh, it builds on all their games. Like, I highly recommend to anybody checking out multiple games in their catalog and seeing how they actually carried the designs and the mechanics over into completely new genres. It's got mechanics from every game they've made.
It is kind of cool, like the idea of just being able to sort of build up a repertoire over time and just sort of have an audience and things that they've learned alongside you and things that they expect, and just sort of be able to keep feeding that audience with new ideas that are built on things that you've experienced together. It's one of the fun things of working on a long-term franchise like State of Decay has been for me, is that you kind of build on what went before and can keep improving it with the same people.
Oh, one final note on the studio. Every game is either alien or droid themed.
Oh, yeah? So it looks like sounds like this one and Basingstoke probably take place in the same world. Is that right? Or...
That's ambiguous.
Okay, because, this place takes, is the developer in Basingstoke, England? Is that
I assume... they don't say much about themselves on the About page, which is why I'm not 100% certain there are only 3 people. But I assume either they're in Basingstoke or one of them has a connection to Basingstoke.
Gotcha. Or, it's England, so it's probably Basingstoke or something, right? I don't know.
Probably.
Anyway, I'm running low on time, and who?
Also, I love how this war effort runs on coffee. That's a running theme through the entire game.
That's awesome. That's cool. All right. Well, we'll probably, when we put this on YouTube, we'll probably put links to the future and past videos we've done together on the screen here, and a subscribe button, and then we're gonna go. Thank you so much.
Yep, anytime.
And we're gonna quit. And we're gonna stop streaming in just a second, which is now.